Hello everybody and welcome back to SecureAfric. So imagine receiving a phone call from your son or your daughter or your spouse or even your best friend, and they are crying, they are scared, and then they're telling you like they have been arrested, they have been kidnapped, or they are in a serious trouble and they need you to send money to them immediately. Their voice sounds exactly like them. You don't hesitate, you send money. But here's the terrifying part. It wasn't them. It was artificial intelligence. And as AI technology becomes more powerful and accessible, scams like these are becoming increasingly realistic. Is this one a clone of my voice? Scams like this are becoming increasingly realistic. Or is this one my real voice? Scams like this are becoming increasingly realistic. In today's episode, I will show you how criminals can clone a person's voice using only a few seconds of audio. How these scams actually work from start to finish, the places scammers may be getting your voices from, why Africa's growing digital economy could make these attacks more common, and most importantly, some practical ways to protect yourself and your family members from these scams. So please stay with us until the end, because one of the protection strategies that we are going to discuss today takes less than 5 minutes to implement and could stop an AI scam before it even succeeds. Let's start with voice cloning. What is really this voice cloning? So if somebody can replicate your voice to sound exactly like you, that is voice cloning. But with the coming of artificial intelligence, it has become more and more easier for people to lay hands on tools that they can use to clone your voice. And using just short audio samples, AI systems can learn your audio tone, they can learn your accent, they can learn your speaking style, your pronunciation, and they can learn your speech patterns. The result is a synthetic voice that sounds remarkably similar to your real person. Just a few years ago, this technology was not there. Or it was there, but it was very expensive. It was very limited to very large companies, large organizations, and probably to governments. But AI has changed the game. Today, many AI tools can create convincing voice replicas in just a matter of minutes. Now think about it. How much audio do many of us have shared with our friends, either via WhatsApp, sending WhatsApp voice notes, or even talking in an organization, or talking in a conference, or even talking to our friends, or making a video like this one I'm making that is online that people can use to generate a replica or clone your voice. Think about that. Do you have something somewhere that someone can lay hands on and use? Probably yes. Probably you have a video on TikTok. Probably you have one on Facebook, on YouTube, or in a podcast appearance, or like I said, a WhatsApp voice note. But to most people, these are just harmless recordings, right? It's nothing harmful. But to scammers, they can be a raw material, and that makes this threat different from many traditional cyber attacks, because you don't necessarily need to be hacked to become a target. They just need to take your voice from somewhere. Why do I say that it makes it different from traditional cyber attacks? Because most scams have warning signs. A phishing email often contains suspicious links. A fake website sometimes look poorly designed. But when we talk about voice cloning attacks, something much deeper, and it is trust. Think about it. For generations, hearing a familiar voice was enough proof that someone was who they claim to be. If your mother called to you, you knew it was your mother. If your child called to you, you know it was your child. But today, that assumption is becoming less reliable, right? And attackers understand human psychology. They do. They don't just want your money. They also want to create urgency. They also want to create fear. They also want to create panic. Because when people panic, they stop verifying. They stop asking questions, and they act emotional. That's exactly what criminals are counting on when they use these clone voices. So with that, let's look at how a typical cloning scam works. The first thing they do is they gather your audio, and this might come from one of the sources that we've already mentioned: public social media videos, podcast interviews, voice messages, or online presentations. They can gather them from there. Next, they use an AI tool or an AI software to create a voice clone of yourself. So this software learns how you speak, and then it generates a synthetic version of your voice. When that is done, it comes to the most important step. The scammer creates an emergency. The clone voice may say something like, "Hey mom, I've been in an accident," or please help me, I need money right now. Or it could also say, I'm in trouble and I can't talk. You notice the pattern? The goal is urgency. The scammer doesn't want you thinking. They want you reacting, because immediately you hear that if it's your daughter or your son calling you and saying, Mom, I'm in an accident, it is urgent. You do not think like when it was just a normal daily activity. Your child just got into an accident. That's serious stuff. It's urgent. So finally, they ask for money, banking information, mobile money transfers, account credentials, or even verification codes. And because the voices sounds familiar, many victims comply. But before continuing, I wanted you to think about something. If your spouse, your child, your sibling, your friend, your parents called you right now asking for emergency financial help, would you be able to tell whether that voice was a real or AI-generated voice? Well, most people immediately answered yes. That's exactly why this scam is so dangerous. Target the confidence. But let's look, for example, that voice that we did earlier. Scams like this are becoming increasingly realistic. Did you take 1 or 2? Well, if you took 2, you are wrong, because 2 is a clone version of my voice. 1 is actually my real voice. And as the technology improves, distinguishing between the real and artificial voice may become increasingly difficult. Let's do another one. Listen to this voice here of me.
As technology becomes more powerful and accessible.
And listen to this voice here of me.
As technology becomes more powerful and accessible.
And then put in the comment section now which of these you think is my voice and which of these you think is the clone version. Okay, let's talk about why we should pay attention to these voice cloning scams. If you are thinking that this only happens to wealthy countries, think again, because Africa is experiencing a rapid digital growth, and across the continent we are seeing increased adoption of mobile money, of digital banking, of online business and e-commerce and social media platform usage. These innovations are creating tremendous opportunities. They also are creating opportunities for cyber criminals. Imagine receiving a WhatsApp voice that sounds exactly like your family member or your friend. And this WhatsApp message or voice note is asking for emergency assistance. Or imagine a small business owner receiving a voice note from what appears to be a trusted supplier. Just imagine that. Because as AI tools become cheaper and more accessible, these scenarios become more realistic. And that's why awareness is so important. But here's the good news. There are practical ways to defend yourself. And the first one is surprisingly simple. Number 1, create a family-safe word. This one is the simplest and most effective defense. Just choose a sacred word or a phrase known only to you and your trusted family members. If someone calls claiming to be in an emergency, just ask for the safe word. A scammer may have your voice, but they likely won't have that information. The second thing is verify through another channel. If someone requests for money or sensitive information, verify it independently. There is no harm in hanging up the call and calling them back using their number that you know. For example, if your son calls you and say, hey, mama, I'm in an accident. Okay, let me call you back. You drop from that call immediately and you go to your contacts and pull up your son's contact and call your son. Do not use the number that is provided by the caller to call them back. The third thing that you should be doing is you should be suspicious of urgency. Whenever someone says, act now, don't tell anyone, send money immediately, treat that as a warning sign, because urgency is one of the most common tools in the scammer's playbook. So treat urgency cautiously. You need to limit public exposure. You don't need to stop posting online. That's not what we are saying. But we should be aware that public audio recordings can be used to train a voice or to clone our voice. So the more publicly available recordings that they are out there of you, the more it is easier for someone to create a convincing imitation of how you speak. And the last one here is educate your family members. Yeah, this one sounds easy as well, but that's something that you need to know. So if you're listening to us today, you can take this video and share it with your family members, because this threat doesn't only affect tech-savvy people. Awareness remains one of the strongest forms of protection. Like we said earlier, share this video to your families and friends so that they can learn this. So artificial intelligence, as you can see, is transforming the world in incredible ways. It's helping people learn, work, innovate, and solve problems. But every powerful technology can be used for both good and bad purposes. The biggest lesson from today's episode is this: a familiar voice is no longer proof of identity. Before sending money, before sharing sensitive information, and before taking action, verify, ask questions, and slow down. Please slow down. If you found this episode valuable, please share to your friends, share to your family members, and also to your colleagues, because you may help prevent someone from becoming the next victim of an AI's voice cloning. And I would like to hear from you. If you received a call from someone you love, do you think you could tell the difference between their real voice and an AI-generated one? Exercise that we gave in the middle of the video, please make sure to answer in the comment section. We would tell from there if you can tell the difference between your family's member's voice and an AI-generated voice. So please let me know in the comment section. And until then, please stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay secure, and we'll see you in another episode of SecureAfric.